Patuloy ang paghaharap natin sa mga hamon ng bayan at dito sa agenda, kami ay titindig para lamang sa katotohanan at kapakanan o interes ng ating bayan.
Corruption was monopolized. It was monopolized by the Marcos crony capitalists.
At higit sa lahat, tinatayuan namin ang katotohanan na mula sa utos ng Diyos.
God is with us sa battle ring.
Sinusuri po natin ang programa at katapatan sa bayan ng mga opisyal.
You were elected by the people. You were the choice of the people in whatever position you have right now, and you're supposed to represent them and what is good for the country.
At gayon din ang pamamaraan, tapat, matapang na paglilingkod ng mga lider ng iba't ibang sektor ng lipunan.
Yan ang komisyon. Hindi naman po yan bago. Hindi rin po yan yung mga insidente na ngayon lamang sumusulpot.
Wala pong lugar dito ang fake news o disinformation na tunay na banta sa katotohanan ng ating karanasan bilang mga Pilipino.
We must all continue to stay strong, healthy, safe, and truly free.
Samahan niyo po kami sa patuloy naming pagsulong sa katotohanan ng pag-ibig, pangangalaga sa ating bayan, at sa kinabukasan ng bawat Pilipino. Dito lamang sa agenda. Sa bansang madalas tamaan ng bagyo at matinding ulan, hindi na bago ang banta ng pagbaha. Sa kabila ng bilyong-bilyong pondo para sa mga flood control programs, mula sa pagpapalawak ng mga kanal at estero, modernisasyon ng pumping stations, hanggang sa pagtayo ng mga dike, nananatili pa rin ang tanong, gaano nga ba ka-epektibo ang mga programang ito sa kasalukuyan? May mga lugar na nakakaranas ng pagbabawas ng pagbaha, ngunit marami pa rin ang nakikipagbuno sa parehong problema taon-taon. Baradong drainage, tambak na basura, at patuloy na pag-okupa sa mga gilid ng ilog at estero. Ilan lamang ito sa balakid na pumipigil sa ganap na tagumpay ng flood control projects. Sa harap ng lumalalang epekto ng climate change at mas malalakas na bagyong dumarating, sapat ba ang kasalukuyang mga hakbang o panahon na para sa mas matibay, mas mabilis, at mas pinagsamang solusyon? Ito ang tatalakayin natin ngayon sa The Agenda Forum.
When it comes to hot topics, sabi nga nila, flood control is on a roll. Has it been discussed before? I think so. Pinag-usapan noon, pinag-uusapan pa rin natin ngayon. Welcome to our episode of The Agenda at Club Filipino, brought to you by EFG Consulting in cooperation with Impact Publishing. I am your host, Atty. Fred Mison. And for our special episode today, we brought in a special co-host who used to be part of the Department of Education, the Presidential Communications Office, and currently a consultant of the local government of Quezon City, as well as an opinion writer for Philippine Star. Help me welcome Miss Pia Morato.
Good morning. Thank you, Attorney Mison, for having me here today. I am really honored to be sitting beside one of my favorite people who is a patriot in many people's eyes. And of course, he is a very important urban planner who has been advocating all his work since I was 1 year old. That's how far I can remember, right? And as he knows, I have said that I'm 50 now, and I hope that once and for all, our country listens to none other than architect Jun Palafox. Welcome.
Thank you, Atty. Fred and Pia for the affirmation, and thanks for inviting me here. Glad to be here, glad to share. We're doing this pro Deo, Patria et Terra,
Yes.
for God, country, and planet Earth.
Thank you, sir. But for the purpose of our listeners and viewers, ako, pag sinabing urban planning, it is synonymous to the name Palafox. And perhaps for the others, I will just say that architect Jun Palafox is a recipient of more than 200 awards. He's a fellow of the Chicago-based Council for Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat. He's an international associate of the American Institute of Architecture, American Planning Association, U.S. Green Building Council, and he has 6 doctorate honoris causa degrees. Medyo mabigat, Miss Pia, yung ating bisita.
Sabi ko sa'yo eh.
But at the same time, I think one of the more important, perhaps, highlights, ang naalala ko sa inyo at Architect Jun was how you did the planning and development of Dubai. I'll go straight to the point, sir. Is there hope for our Metro Manila to be somehow close to Dubai in our lifetime, sir?
Yeah. There's hope for. Pero, yeah, explain it later. Dapat we do, before we address flood control, we look at the larger urban regional metropolitan planning, uh, land use, transportation, demographics, then the different kinds of infrastructure planning, including flood control and drainage, like water, power, drainage, flood control, sewerage, solid waste, etc., parks and open spaces, the components of a city, of a community. And Dubai, you know, when I was working as team leader for the World Bank funded Metro Plan Manila and project officer of the UNDP funded Manila Bay Region Strategic Plan, it was in those projects that the leaders of Dubai discovered me. Sultan Khalifa came here to look for me and hired me to help plan Dubai, bring it to the first world in 15 years. They were able to do it. And people thought I was a political appointee. Kaya ako nagtrabaho sa government projects. I was paying back my full scholarship ko sa UP, funded by UNDP. So sa Dubai noon, I told the invitation na you have to wait 100 days. I have commitment to finish my projects with Philippine government. That's how I got to work in 40 countries after Dubai. Yeah.
And I do remember in a message, because, Architect June and I often speak. And last night was one of those nights where we were having some exchanges. And he was telling me that 40 countries actually he has worked with, but the Philippines is the most challenging. So maybe you can tell us more why, sir.
The Philippine government is the most challenging because private sector projects, they follow our designs. Like relatively recently, Rockwell, Ayala Labang, Cebu Business Park, several SMs, and so on. It get followed private sector. Maybe because it's their own money, it's their own name, it's their own reputation. And I was talking to the ambassador of United Arab Emirates yesterday. He called me. There's so many big investments from UAE, even the state visits the president. And when they come here, they encounter corruption, red tape, and they don't even feel safe. Kaya even foreign ambassadors are asking me to help their compatriots when they come to invest here, to help navigate the processes here. Yeah.
You said, Architect Jun, private sector follow. In other words, they adopt your plans and recommendations. Bakit kaya sa public sector, hindi yata napapakinggan si Architect Palafox?
I try to like, we never had a project with MMDA. Nagko-compete kami, mas mura pa kami, ibang consultants na nanalo. Yeah. Even Department of Public Works, we never won a project.
Hindi ko natatanungin, sir, bakit kaya?
Alam niyo siguro. But
Let's get the white elephant out of the room,
yeah.
right?
You know, we can be a first world country, number 16th in the world, if only we address corruption towards good governance, criminality towards better peace and order, climate change, protecting and enhancing the environment, inequality, poverty alleviation, job creation, infrastructure. We're so behind. Mga naplano natin noon mid-70s, hindi pa na-implement hanggang ngayon. And investments. We need foreign direct investments para we can be first world country. And numbers, so 3Cs and 4I. Number 4I hope hindi magagalit iba sa akin, incompetence. Sometimes incompetence is more expensive than corruption.
Sir, I heard that aside from working in 40 countries, you have somehow been part of several administrations in your capacity as consultant. Parang panahon pa yata po ni President Marcos Sr. Tama po ba yun, sir?
Opo, because of I had to pay back my full scholarship sa UP. I had to work for a government project at least 2 years. I was so fortunate, aside to me were foreign funded projects. Like Metropolitan Manila, World Bank funded, UNDP funded, Manila Bay Region. Not direct my project, but also the USAID funded Mangaan Floodway, Parañaque Spillway, hanggang ngayon wala pa. And dapat ngayon, like I can describe what happened during Ondoy, and some people even blame God for Ondoy. And I said that time, it's not an act of God, but sin of omission of men and women running our country. And I cited the many projects that were put forward in the mid-70s, not yet implemented. Suffering from maybe corruption, you know that, and analysis paralysis, incompetence, and the success of cities and countries like Dubai and Singapore, they have visionary leadership with strong political will, good appreciation of good urban planning, good design like architecture, engineering, and excellent management. And there are also 10% of our mayors are very good.
Only 10% of our
Yeah.
mayors in Metro Manila or nationwide?
Nationwide. Kasi
Nationwide.
the projects that we've been winning, no corruption, no red tape. Maybe I can share with the media which are these. And I tell them, like, we can address our challenges, we know the solution. We should be first world country by 2040, first world economy by 2050. We've been putting forward recommendations. Agency na walang corruption, Department of Transportation. Yeah. Tapos yung mga Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, within that, Bulacan, Batangas City, Pampanga, Metro Davao. Mga projects namin doon, no corruption. Clark Development Corporation, no red tape, no corruption. Clark International Airport Corporation, no red tape, no corruption. Kaya pwede rin. And fighting corruption, I entrap a BIR examiner for extortion, 7 years in prison. Then,
It can really
it can
happen.
be, yeah.
Pero in this area, sir, lumalabas, is it a factor of leadership talaga? That's why these areas are like no red tape and
Yeah.
no corruption?
Leadership ho and citizenship. Kasi if you are deep in your faith, you should not be scared to report corruption because I'm a former seminarian ako, SVD. Our German mentors told us, if you see something wrong, you do nothing, it's like a sin of omission. And corruption comes from two Latin words, cor, the heart, rapture, to break, or corrupture, breaking down together. So we are a broken-hearted nation, breaking down together as a country. And if you fight corruption, it's a corporal work of mercy. Because the worst sufferers of corruption are the poorest of the poor. So we're helping the poorest of the poor by fighting corruption.
So what's like what Sir Jun said before, it's really sustainability plus spirituality plus nation building.
Yes, ma'am. Like, we talk about protecting the environment. We walk the talk. I gave up $1 million in architect's fee for a proposed 6-star hotel because I was instructed to destroy 366 70-year-old trees. My conscience could not accept it. I returned the $1 million architect's fee. Now, that part of Subic, urban forest, the trees are still there.
The trees are still there because you refuse to cut them down.
Yeah.
366.
Yeah, that's it. And people ask me, Architect Jun, how come you're so brave? And I said, if you're deep in your faith, yeah, we have Pastor Gary here. If you read the Bible, it says 366 times, do not be afraid. Do not worry. Do not be anxious. So tayong takot subog ng corruption, we are not really deep in our faith.
Would you agree, Architect June, that we need some kind of spiritual-based training or seminar for our public officers?
Yeah, we need that po. Kasi, our integral ecology in our office, when we guideline for acceptance projects or our projects, social equity or people first, poverty alleviation, job creation. We just don't think of the client paying us the check. We look at the beneficiaries if we do a good job. We look at the sufferers if we do a lousy job. So first P or E, social equity, people first. Then the environment, planet Earth, we know that. Then prosperity, economic goals, and profits. Without forgetting culture, history, and heritage, and interfaith spirituality. Those are our guiding principles in our architecture, urban planning, master planning, engineering works. And we added there visionary. And thanks to Asian Development Bank and NEDA, I was hired by ADB to help in the preparation of the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028. My assignment was seamless connectivity. So I shared there are more than 30 modes of transportation. We have less than 10. There are more than 20 kinds of infrastructure. We have less than 10. There are 18 kinds of tourism. I think we have less than 10. And I commented, how come our development planning in our country is electoral calendar, short-term and opportunistic, not long-term and visionary. So at Palafox now, one of our advocacy now is Philippines 2050, well into 2100, postcards from the future. We take pictures of the uglification of our cities. We come up with architectural perspectives, how they should look like. We'll publish a book, Postcards in the Future, hoping some leaders in the future, maybe your generation of leaders, Pia, will implement these beautiful postcards from the future.
I'm so flattered, Sir June. Thank you so much. But